A big fire in Lexington. Let's head straight out to Fox 8's Kim Wynn.
Kim, what can you tell us? I can see the flames still raging behind you.
Katie, this is a huge, very massive fire behind me. We are right off of Elk Street, downtown Lexington. You guys can see it for yourself. This is just, the flames are just still raging. A massive cloud of smoke. We were able to see it from several blocks away here. We have not been able to speak with first responders on the scene just yet, but firefighters, you can see them trying to put out the flames right now. This is a very large fire. Again, have not been able to speak with first responders just yet, but several people are out here taking photos.
I wonder if you could get your photographer to kind of zoom back into the flames just a little bit and let us see if we can. I don't know if we can. Yeah, I can tell you that a little bit about Dixie. Certainly among the largest employers in Lexington at one time. Based on what I'm reading here, it was closed in the early 2000s, not long after it had been taken over by a company called Lexington Home Brands. And the information I'm hearing here, this Dixie Furniture plant, plant number 1, was in operation since 1901, and this article I'm looking at dates back to 2003. Probably opened around 1901, and over the years it was expanded to include 9 city blocks and 31 acres, just to give you an idea as to how big this operation was. Susanna, have you had a chance to talk to people who live in this area?
Yes, Neil and Katie, like you said, we've been on the scene since about 5:30 and have had the chance to talk with several neighbors who came outside of their homes to see what was going on here on Paramount Street. And for some, they say they are shocked that High Point's 15th homicide of the year could happen right here in the middle of the day. But for one woman who's lived here since the 1960s, she says sadly she's not surprised. All seems calm on Sue Mabe's porch. But a few steps down Paramount Street, chaos in the form of gunshots.
Was it a surprise to you?
No. It's happened before.
A shooting in broad daylight left 3 men hurt.
I don't feel safe.
While it might not be a surprise for Sue, she says she's heartbroken to see the street she's lived on for so long fall victim to violence.
Not what it was when I moved here 60 years ago. Just a place to sleep at night. Hopefully safe, but you never know.
One thing she does know, something has to change right here and in the city of High Point.
So many killings and so many drug arrests. I just don't know what the city's going to wind up coming to.
And Sue says she's going to try and do something about it. She says she plans on going straight to the High Point Police Department tomorrow to see what she can do to help her community. And guys, I want to give you an update. We just learned that the second gunshot victim is in critical condition and the third has been updated to stable condition.
Katie, we've covered a lot of city council meetings on Tuesday evenings, and they oftentimes get heated, but I have never seen the council shut the meeting down because they cannot get a word in. Supporters of Jose Charles and his mother, who this case centers around, they say they want the city council to defend him. They want police accountability, and they want them to get his charges dropped. But city council says there's all these laws that don't allow them to intervene in the way that people want them to.
A Greensboro City Council meeting recessed early and shut down by police.
Keep moving.
Moments before, City Council members pleading with people to understand their position in the Jose Charles case.
The bottom line is we are here, we are listening, and we're trying to get to a resolution.
I think if we had the ability to release the video at this point, we would do that. But the fact is, we do not have that ability.
Police body cam video shows the arrest of 15-year-old Jose Charles on the 4th of July in downtown Greensboro. Charles's mother claims police were discourteous and used excessive force when her son had just been beaten up.
This is ridiculous that people, this is not the 60s anymore. Our officials should do what's right.
She wants council to ask the police chief to withdraw evidence for assault charges against Charles.
People shouldn't have to still do this. It's ridiculous. We elect our city council members to do what's right.
People at the city council meeting eventually took over the chambers. When police forced them out, they walked to Center City Park, where the arrest happened, and sat down in the middle of Friendly Avenue.
So we're here for justice for Jose. He was brutally beaten by the cops, and he's a child.
Oh, child, things are gonna get easier.
These 8 people arrested and charged with a misdemeanor. We spoke with City Council member Sharon Hightower on the street.
I'm a little disturbed.
Hightower said she didn't feel threatened and would have continued the meeting.
I mean, I was okay with staying in the meeting, and I was okay with coming back. I didn't have a problem either way.
And wishes she could have heard from more people to try and find a solution.
And we need to find a way to work some of these issues out. We got to. You know, but yelling and screaming and shouting sometimes does not get us there.
Because this case involves someone who is under 18 years old, that's one reason why the city council cannot discuss what they saw on that body camera video and why they can't release it. But as the city attorney attempted to explain tonight in the meeting before things really got crazy in there, he says there's this separation between city council as the lawmakers and the DA as the judicial branch, and they cannot directly influence what he does in the cases. Neil, Katie, back to you.
All right, Adrian, thank you.
Well, Neil, Katie, it doesn't look like it now, but this parking lot was packed with people who would become witnesses to that shooting here tonight. Now, like you said, thanks to their help, the suspect is in custody. But all of the residents I spoke with said they can't believe this happened here. 14 casings from 14 bullets.
Pop, pop, pop. I heard about 6 or 7.
Fired in broad daylight.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Never. Things like this don't happen around here as far as I'm aware.
A scary scene witnessed by a parking lot full of people like Jordan Crump.
Like, this is the first ever time I've seen something like this.
He says he watched an argument unfold between the victims and suspect and heard the shooter say,
I ought to shoot you, I ought to shoot you.
Seconds later, bullets flew, hitting 3 people. James Demery saw the same thing.
I see him pointing at her, shooting at them.
He says before he knew it, he jumped into action.
He took off that way here, went out this way, and I got him behind him with my flashers on, trying to get his tag number, and chased him to the next exit up where the cop came around me, and I pointed to him.
Police would end up catching the suspect at a convenience store. But back at the scene, 18-year-old Logan Howell had just sat down to dinner.
This guy and I guess his girlfriend came in. He was bleeding all over his arm and chest area and his leg. And he walked in and he said he'd been shot.
A freaky first for the teen who says he's still in shock.
It was literally right there, right across the parking lot.
Tonight, these residents say they want better for their city.
People just got to be careful today. People don't fight fair anymore. People take your life over nothing 2 days.
It's not what Lexington should be.
Police have confirmed that they now know the suspect and the 3 victims knew each other. Now, of those 3 victims, all received medical care. 1 was hit with glass shrapnel. The other 2 were shot, 1 with minor injuries and 1 with serious injuries. Katie and Neil.
It could have been a lot worse. Susanna, thank you.
Let's get right to our Tess Bargeber, who has been working this story all day. Tess, what's the latest from police?
Well, I just spoke with a police spokesperson moments ago who told me that the bullet hit the victim below the waist, but at this point we're still working to get an update on that person's condition tonight. I spoke with bystanders earlier who say they were panicked by the gunshots, but they're thankful tonight that things weren't worse.
Shots, but the shots I thought it was fireworks because it was like it was rapid fire.
Crossing Washington Street, Ronnie Rogers says gunfire stopped him in his tracks just before noon on Monday.
The one guy fell on the back of my car. And when I seen him fall, that's when I started backing up.
That man was rushed to a local hospital and is expected to survive. The scene around Washington and Eugene Streets a bit chaotic as police searched for the shooter.
I know people may be concerned with safety for the area. What we have gained so far, we believe that the situation is isolated to the people that were involved here. We don't think this was a random incident.
Cynthia Sahowski was in the courthouse when the gunfire erupted. She says she walked outside to find a window of her SUV shattered.
Initially, I was a bit agitated, but then secondly, my next feeling was thankful that I wasn't out there.
She's a retired officer with Greensboro PD.
Never involved in any shootings, never got shot.
And says Monday's shooting is a lesson to everyone.
Crime can happen anywhere at any time, and pay attention.
And police say they hope to continue the conversation about guns to bring an end to the violence.
One of the things we don't continue to have is a discussion with our community. Why are people grabbing guns whether it be to resolve their disputes or whatever it may be?
Now, what you're seeing right there on that parking lot ground is some of the glass still left over from that SUV back window. But as far as we can tell, that was the only car that was damaged in this parking lot, and thankfully no other injuries were reported. Now, and if you were in this area earlier today around noon, police do want to hear from you, and we have the information to report an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers on our website right now. That's myfox8.com.
Katie, this is just a horrifying experience for everyone who lives in this area. The neighborhood is normally a quiet place except for kids playing together. Now, people are really at a loss for why this happened and who's responsible.
It changes the tone of the neighborhood a lot. It changes the vibe here a lot.
The small but tight-knit community of Timberline Drive in Winston-Salem
I'm a little uneasy, considering that this killer is still out here.
has lost a little bit of its innocence.
I don't know how I'm gonna get over it.
24 hours after police removed a body from Unit 308, people are stunned to learn someone killed and dismembered 75-year-old John Agnew, who lived there.
There was no warning, of something like that to even happen. No screams or anything like that.
Brian Davis says he last saw Agnew on Friday and his silver Mazda on Saturday. Then Monday, human remains were found on the side of the road in Randolph County and inside Agnew's apartment. Winston-Salem police are working both investigations.
He stayed to himself. He might have came out, watched his vehicle, may have waved here and there, but he rarely spoke to, his neighbors.
But Davis says even though Agnew kept to himself, his violent murder is very unsettling.
To find out that's what was going on, I don't know how long that was taking place in the household. We could have been out here, very much playing with our children and stuff, probably, on that Saturday, that nice Saturday, and that was taking place inside the home.
Winston-Salem police are still waiting to get a positive identification on the remains that were found in Randolph County.